All right, everybody, how are we doing today? Welcome back to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show, episode number 70 already. This is insane that I'm even here. Episode number 70 already. Wild. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for your support for the channel and just watching the videos, liking the videos. Hope you guys enjoy that mini commentary from last week, from the last time we were here. I'm your host, Robbie Basel, and today we're just going to start off with a bit of news. Of course, now, like I said, in recent episodes, the show is going to continue going for now on Tuesdays and Fridays. So Tuesday and Friday, I'm not going to have a set upload schedule because I don't know when I'm going to upload these videos. Because like today's video is going later because of the Premier League not being done yet for the day until right around now-ish. But we have a lot to talk about. And we're going to start us off with, actually, no, one more bit of information to tell you guys about, and that is Into the Stands official return is tomorrow, January 31st. I had the email conversation yesterday with the mod for the video, and we will be on Wednesdays. So I have to update that on the Instagram, but Wednesdays 5 to 6 p.m. only on the WIUR Ionic Gales Radio Network YouTube channel. You can check that out in the description. The link down there now is for what I know it's going to be is from the show from their last show, which I think was almost 2 months ago, which wild. And it's going to be good to go back with the guys, get some good show topics. If you have any specific show topics you want to see, and if you're watching this video right away, make sure to comment them down below. And we'll take a look at it, and I'll ask the guys what they think about it for sure. It's going to be fun to be back with the guys again. Well, maybe we'll do the draft special again, April, all that. It's a while till then, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back to work with the guys, and it's going to be fun. I'm very excited. Into the Stands returns tomorrow at 5 Eastern, only on the WIUR on the Gales Radio Network. Link in the description to the channel, and then you'll have to go to live and then able to find our episode. And if you want to check us out on Instagram, that link's down there as well in the description. You'll be able to view the show from the link in the bio or on the story that we're going to make for tomorrow. Jeez, lots going on. But today we have we're focusing mainly on 3 sports today. We have the NFL, soccer, and tennis, because the Australian Open finished on Saturday night, which that final was something else. I didn't get to watch it because in this Sunday morning. It was at it was 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning. I had a lot to watch, but I watched it back. It was crazy. I watched all the highlights and as much information I can give you guys. So that'll be the last topic of today. What are we starting with? We're starting with the NFL playoffs, the conference championships, because there's so much soccer that we're talking about that in the middle, and we're starting with the NFL playoffs. And we'll start off with the Ravens and the Chiefs. The Chiefs won this game 17-10, led by Patrick Mahomes. I'm tired of talking about him. I know you guys are tired of me talking about him. And Travis Kelce just carrying the rest of the team. They beat Lamar Jackson, who still threw for 272 yards, but only ran for 54 yards on 8 attempts. And they're led in receiving by Zay Flowers, who we have too much to talk about Zay Flowers from this. So let's begin. Start off with our winners, the Chiefs. They didn't have to do really that much, and their defense really stepped up. They forced Lamar into making some interesting decisions. We'll start with their defense first. L'Jarius Sneed, great game. The pass rush was great. What Steve Spagnuolo's defense was able to do, they blitzed a lot, and it limited the chances, or limited the time that Lamar was able to create chances with his legs. That was the main difference maker, was the blitzing by the Chiefs defense, and it caused a lot of chaos. How many sacks did they got? They got a couple. Justin Reed had one off of a safety blitz. Carl Loftus had one as well. Treshawn Wharton had one. Charles Omenihu, who I believe actually got injured. I might have to fact check that one. And Deion Bush got the interception at the end of the game. The offense. led by, of course, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, who I'm a big fan of, continuing to be a big fan of. He had 8 for 46. MVS had 2 for 38, but the main focus, of course, was Travis Kelce's 11 for 116 yards and a touchdown. He was targeted so many times, and that's the one thing the Ravens struggled with was guarding the tight end in this game, and it led to so many opportunities for the Chiefs. We'll talk about the penalties in a minute. The refs did miss a couple holds on some of the bigger plays again. This is why it feels like I'm repeating the script from the Jets game because they did miss some stuff. And first of all, the ground game was, I'll call it mid, with Pacheco only 24 for 68. They really limited Pacheco. But the Ravens, man, 16 attempts on the ground total in this game. 16. The one thing we've learned in the playoffs is that when you go away from your main game plan to throw the ball more, it doesn't work. What are we thinking here? Lamar Jackson's their leading rusher. Gus Edwards, 3 total attempts on the ground. 3. Justice Hill, 3 attempts. Lamar Jackson went 20 of 37, which is completely terrible for Lamar Jackson MVP standards. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. And the interception was, of course, the force at the end, which led to the game being over. Zay Flowers had 5 for 115, and this is where I'm going to start talking about this. The taunting penalty was harsh because of what the Chiefs were getting away with. It felt very weird that they flagged Flowers for what he did. And then to add on to that, I think it was 1 or 2 plays later, he had the fumble, which was a fumble. 1,000% a fumble. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I think it was stupid that they called the taunting penalty that they did. Because if Travis Kelce did that, which he did, some antics similar, he would have gotten away with it. And I think everyone knows he would have gotten away with it. So, I mean, there's a lot that went on here. And I can talk about the refs more and more as we go on. I mean, the Chiefs got away with blatant holds on the tight end. We all know that. Did the Ravens possibly get away with some stuff? Maybe. But what we now know is that I'm not calling the Ravens fraudulent because you can't. What we do know is that when you really go away from your game plan, it fails miserably. And this game is a perfect example of that, and I'll probably talk about this tomorrow. How one part of your game plan changing, even the ground game has always been a big thing for the Ravens. Whether it's Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Lamar Jackson with his legs as well. If you go away from something that important, the results are drastic, and we see it here. It's crazy how much taking away the ground game affects a team like Baltimore. And some small decisions at the end or during the game costed their team as well. The Chiefs advanced to the Super Bowl again. I'm tired of saying that, but they are. And they'll be facing the miraculous comeback of the San Francisco 49ers, a team that I had in the Super Bowl, and thank God the Lions lost. I'm tired of hearing about them. I know I'm one of the few people that didn't want the Lions in this, but they're not ready to go to the Super Bowl yet. And what I mean by that is that I'm really going to go after their defense. I really am. What happened at the end does not happen to an elite defense. It straight up doesn't. And they need help in the secondary. They really do. If their secondary was any better, they would have won this game by 30. But they collapsed. And let's break down this collapse. Starting with what happened on the offensive side for the 49ers. With Brock Purdy only going 20 of 31 for 267. He threw a touchdown and an interception. But the big guy today was Christian McCaffrey from Sunday. 20 for 90 for 2 touchdowns. Brock Purdy also ran 5 times for 48 yards. Deebo Samuel, who actually played in this game, went 8 for 89. And Brandon Ayuk, who only had 3 catches and is now really frustrating, for 68 yards, did have a touchdown. So he kind of saved himself. He did have the 1 passing touchdown in this game. George Kittle being irrelevant in this game felt weird. And for how impactful George Kittle is, it's weird for him to not get targets in a game, catches in a game like this. 2 for 27 should not be happening for an elite tight end like George Kittle. And the fact that he had this many catches, which is the same as Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, is mind-boggling for me. But we talked last week about Jawan Jennings. He only had 1 catch for 8 yards, but the big reason for that was Deebo Samuel was really involved in this game. I just wish Brandon Ayuk had more catches, because if he played more of a complete game, this game would not have been close from the get-go. But Christian McCaffrey doing Christian McCaffrey things led the way for the Niners for me. The opposite side. I talked about the run game and how they need to balance the touches for Gibbs and Montgomery. They did that. And what we saw is that Montgomery had a much better game on the ground. Montgomery, 15 for 93. Gibbs had 12 carries, which is only 3 less, but only had 45 yards. Difference is he had a touchdown. Jameson Williams actually technically had a rush for 42 yards and a touchdown. And, of course, David Montgomery had a touchdown as well. Jared Goff threw a touchdown, which was to the aforementioned Jameson Williams. Sam Laporta had a nice day, 9 for 97. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's turning into a stud, 7 for 87. But really, no one else did anything after that. The ground game was great. Goff made some good throws. But at the end of the day, what did they do? They scored 7 points in the second half after putting up 24 in the first. Let's go for overview here. The first half was Jameson Williams touchdown, David Montgomery touchdown, Gibbs touchdown, Badgley field goal. That's the first half from the Lions. The only points the Niners got was a Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Niners then get field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. How does that happen? Blasphemous. I'm going to try to find more stats on this because this has to be investigated. Can we get second half stats? Can I find this somewhere? Oh, by the way, Ben Johnson is not leaving the Lions. I think we all had a feeling that was going to happen because I knew you had the feeling that he was going to want a lot of money, and also the collapse that he had. I would not want to have him as my head coach right now, unfortunately, because listen, I think he has a lot of potential, but like a collapse like that on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know. I just don't know. Let's see if I can find any stats for this. And while I am investigating this horribly ran page and the terrible Iona Wi-Fi, please hit the like button down below. Because why not, honestly? And of course, 5 likes and I'll do the commentary of the chat's choosing. Anyway, team stats. I can't find it. Okay. So, let's go to how the second half went. Lions drives in the second half. Turnover on downs, fumble, punt, turnover on downs, touchdown. And remember, the Lions had a chance to kick a field goal, and they went for it on 4th down. I believe it was the second time. Yeah. And they went for it on 4th and 3, and one, they threw the ball, which was stupid. The second, the fact that they went for it was already dumb enough. They just went way too aggressive when they didn't need to, and the Lions should be in the Super Bowl, I think. They should be. They should have won this game. They went for it on 4th and 2. They threw the ball. You have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. How are you not running it on 4th and 2 or 4th and 3? The brain dead, the lack of brain cells at points from Dan Campbell is miraculous, and that should be investigated as well. Besides that, we have our Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs representing the AFC, and the San Francisco 49ers representing the NFC. The Niners, who I had in the Super Bowl from the get-go of the season and in this prediction from the NFL playoffs. And the Chiefs, who I did not have making it past the freaking divisional round, have pulled off two great away wins to get here. They also beat the Miami Dolphins. So they beat the Dolphins, the Bills, and now the Ravens. The Niners went out and beat the Lions, and then the round before beat the Packers. This will be interesting. And I'm going to break down the whole Super Bowl once we get closer to the actual game. Because I could talk about the Super Bowl for the next 2 weeks. I don't think that's a smart idea because there's so much other stuff going on in the world. From AFCON, Asian Cup. I know that's getting like repetitive and boring, but these tournaments are so good, they have to be talked about more. We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl as much until we get closer to the actual game. Because we have the Pro Bowl this week, which I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to. And then we have actual Super Bowl week. So we'll talk about the Super Bowl closer to the actual game. Also, I might bring up some NHL season updates from the predictions in the beginning of the season that I made in like October. Because a couple of my picks are actually doing pretty good. I also did not predict the NBA season because miscommunication and all that. So we'll check out the NHL season updates. I'll probably talk about it. I'll try to remember to talk about it on Friday. And if I don't, just go after me in the comments because it is NHL All-Star Weekend. So I will try to talk about it very soon, my NHL season update. But right now we can't do that because there's so much chaos going on in the soccer world. This needs to be investigated. We're going to start us off with the Premier League. Actually, no, we're not because this isn't done. Some games aren't done yet. So let's go to the Asian Cup. I think that'll be a good way to start us off. We will start us off with the Asian Cup. And this began, I believe, on Sunday. Let me just find it. We have the Asian Cup round of 16. And so far we have a couple parts of the bracket completed. We will start us off with the top left, which was Tajikistan versus the UAE and Jordan against Iraq. We'll start with those games. We'll go in order of how this bracket worked. We'll start us off with Tajikistan going out and beating the UAE after the UAE scored an extremely late goal from Khalifa Al-Hamadi to level it at 1 after Tajikistan scored an early goal from Vadat Hananov in the 30th minute. They went level, and Tajikistan went out and won on penalties. Let's talk about some of these stats because some of these are absurd. 66% possession for the UAE. Outshot, but did not create as many big chances. They had less shots on target. Actually, they had the equal amount of shots on target, but one less off target. They had a lot of shots blocked. The Tajikistan defense, got to give them some credit here. They held up extremely well. Tajikistan advances to their first ever Asian Cup quarterfinal match. Oh, I really underestimated them at the beginning because I said they're going to finish dead last, I think on like 1 point or something. And here they are in the Asian Cup knockouts. Now, granted, I don't think anyone expected them to be here to even begin with. But wow, Tajikistan. Fair play to them. The UAE, disappointing. This is extremely disappointing. They did better passing. They had less big chances missed out on. I mean, they were the much better team on paper, but Tajikistan just goes out and gets it done. And then we have this mess, which I think could have been avoided entirely because of one bad referee decision that I think should have been overturned. We have Iraq and Jordan. We'll start off with how this game went. Jordan go out and score early on and late in the first half with Yazan Al-Naimat getting the opening goal. Then Ayman Hussein just turns into I'm doing his thing. But first we had Sad Natik Naji. I totally said that wrong. It's hard to pronounce some of these Iraqi names, to be fair. And then we have Ayman Hussein, who scored the go-ahead goal in the 76th minute. And then he got a second yellow card for celebration. I think that was kind of harsh. I don't agree with that call whatsoever. In the moment, it didn't look like there was anything outrageous. Yes, it ran long. That's what stoppage time is for. I think that was as an official, knowing the rules well, I can fully say this was the incorrect decision. I think they should have been 11v11, which would have not led probably to both not UAE, Jordan goals at the end. We continue with, and by the way, I'm not paid to say that. It's strictly my opinion. Looking at it back, I don't think he should have been sent off for that. That was really harsh. Then we gotta go to the chaos later on of the Jordan team scoring, courtesy of Yazan Abu Al Arab. And then a substitute got sent off, which fair play. Hamza Al Dardur. I have no idea. He got sent off even though he's not on the pitch, so it's still 10v11. And then right off the restart, Nazar Al Rashdan scores for Jordan, and Jordan is going to the Asian Cup knockouts to play Tajikistan. So I was totally wrong in this part of the bracket, but hello? What? I'm like, we have Jordan Tajikistan at 6:30 a.m. in 3 days. 3 days time on Friday, only on Paramount Plus. Tajikistan, this is a weird one. I want to pick Tajikistan. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll be dead serious. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I wish I could say I knew what was going to happen. It's so hard to pick this game. I'm going to go with Tajikistan for the meme, but I want to pick Tajikistan, but I think Jordan's the better team. But what I've learned today is that the better team doesn't always win. So I think Tajikistan will probably win this and then get absolutely destroyed in the semifinals, which would be a great narrative, to be fair. Fair play to Tajikistan even getting this round. So that part of the bracket's chaos. Then we had whatever the hell happened yesterday. We start off with Australia just running Indonesia off. Well, this was back from Sunday. Australia run Indonesia off the field, and I completely called this. We started off with an own goal from Elkham Baggett to put Australia in front. Australia ran away with it. It was 4-0. Not much needs to be talking about. They go to the Asian Cup quarterfinals. Again, what happened today, though, was we had South Korea, led by Jurgen Klinsmann, who I didn't even know was their manager, and Roberto Mancini, who I also didn't know managed Saudi Arabia. The battle of two formerly sacked managers went to South Korea. Let me break down what happened here. So South Korea go down early on in the second half. Abdullah Hadi Radif, hopefully I said that right, scored a goal for Saudi Arabia, assisted by Salim Al-Dasari. And remember, Hadi Radif came on to start the second half, so he immediately makes an impact. He goes out and scores. South Korea are in shambles. And we find out later on that we had, eventually had almost 10 minutes of stoppage time, but we have to go to the 99th minute with Jae Sung-cho scoring for South Korea to level our match and send us to extra time. Extra time, nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. And then we go to penalties. Kano scored, then Son Heung-min scores. Eventually gets the 2-2. Then Sami Al-Najeh misses. Goij Sung-cho scores again. Abdurraham Garib misses. And then Hee Chen-hwang, who plays for Wolves, he scores the winner. South Korea moves on. Fair play Saudi Arabia, but the South Koreans advance. They play Australia in the quarterfinals on February 2nd on Friday. That match is going to be a thriller. I'm totally watching this game. Back and forth all the way. I'm picking South Korea to win this. I'm really backing South Korea. They proved with their backs against the wall how good they can really be. Back against the wall against Saudi Arabia, a team that was really the better team for the majority of this match. South Korea gets a late goal, and they really dug deep and went out and grabbed the win in penalties. I'm backing South Korea to win this game, and South Korea is going to play either Jordan or Tajikistan, which who would have said that at the beginning of the tournament? And then we have the bottom right. Bottom left, like Iran, Syria, Bahrain, and Japan hasn't happened yet. That happens tomorrow. What we did have was Qatar against Palestine, which was the later game from today. We start off with Palestine taking a shocking 1-0 lead in Qatar, which, okay. And then Hassan Al-Haidos scores the equalizer right before the end of the first half. And then we have Akram Afif, who's been so good this tournament for Qatar. He scores a penalty. Qatar advances to the quarterfinals in a match they deserve to win, 1,000%. Even though they got outshot, they looked like the better team throughout the match. I mean, they were so much better in possession of the ball. Both teams only missed one big chance, but both teams had one big chance, according to the stat sheet. And Palestine's goal wasn't even a big chance. But the big chance missed wasn't Qatar. Qatar didn't miss a big chance in this game, according to the stat sheet. Granted, Palestine more shots on target, but Qatar had more advantage on their limited amount of shots, and that's what got them the win today. They advance to the Asian Cup quarterfinals, and they're going to play Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan, fair play. They played this morning. We start off this game with, I'm going to totally butcher this, Azizbek Turgenbayev. Sure, we'll go with that. He scored the opener. And then we had Supachuk Sarachar. I love these names. These names, I'm vibing with these names, by the way, Chad. He scored for Thailand to level our match. And then Abulsbek Falzulayev. I totally said that wrong. I don't know how to say these names. It's impossible. But Uzbekistan did what some thought was likely possible, and that was scoring a goal again. Uzbekistan advances to play Qatar, where that match is going to be back and forth as well. All three quarterfinals so far are very hard to predict. I think all three of these games, if Iraq beat Jordan, Iraq would have ran Tajikistan off the field, but Iraq got very unlucky. Tajikistan, Jordan, Australia, South Korea, and Qatar, Uzbekistan are three very balanced quarterfinals for the level that each of these teams are at. Qatar, Uzbekistan, I think two teams are on Qatar maybe is slightly on a better level, but Uzbekistan's not going to mess around, and we've known that for how they dug deep and beat Thailand, who are shockingly decent. Australia, South Korea, two heavyweights in the Asian game, and of course Tajikistan and Jordan. I don't know. I just don't know. And then of course we have their matches tomorrow. Iran, Syria, and Bahrain, Japan are tomorrow. And now for AFCON. I love this tournament. I love it. It's so weird, chaotic, inspirational. I don't know how else to put it. What we've seen in this tournament is pure and utter chaos. And what you have to understand is that what you've seen in this tournament is probably one of the best international or continental competitions we're going to see all year. And we're in January. Let's begin. We will start off with the top left of the bracket with Angola running Namibia off the field, something I did predict. Both teams did get a red card. Angola got a red card very early on, scored a goal a man down, and then Namibia got a red card, and then Angola scored two more times. Angola, who had 1.55 xG, went out and won this match 3-0, advanced to the quarterfinals, where they're going to play Nigeria. Nigeria went out and beat Cameroon 2-0. If you look at the statistics, Cameroon, who only had 0.28 xG in the entire match, and Nigeria had 1.38. They had more shots. Very boring game due to the lack of shots. I didn't get a chance to watch this one. Well, I watched like the first 10 minutes, and then I got bored because nothing was happening. I rewatched the highlights, and the game eventually got a little bit better, but Nigeria advances to the quarterfinals. They were the better team in this match. They're going to play Angola on Friday, which Friday's games are chaos. And then we're going to head down to because we know all four quarterfinal matchups, which is better, which is great. We have now, we'll go to the next part of the bracket, which was, I believe, today's matches. Yes, it was. We are going to have Cape Verde, who went out and beat Mauritania in a oddly close game. I mean, Cape Verde doubled the XG, 18 shots to 11. They outshot their opponents. But, yeah, I mean, Cape Verde got a penalty. Mendes converted the penalty for Cape Verde. And the smallest team left in the tournament is through. Fair play, Cape Verde. Those tiny islands west of the continent are in the AFCON quarterfinals. I love it. I'm all for it. And then we had the thriller from today. South Africa just beat Morocco. Nothing makes sense. This is so impossible to predict. The team with the best names in the entire tournament, move on. I'm all for it. We will start us off with our boy Evidence Makogba. Sure. With the assist from Timba Swane, another player. Like I said, I know who he is. They went out and scored in the 57th minute, and then Morocco got a penalty. But Ashraf Hakimi missed the penalty in the 84th minute. And then eventually, Sofiane Amrabat, which just made Man United more of a meme, got a red card. And then Tebo Mokwena? Did I say that right? No idea. Scored in the 95th minute. South Africa, who only had .29 XG the whole match, got outshot off the field despite Morocco having 2 whole XG. Lost. South Africa are through to the quarterfinals, where they, of course, will be playing Cape Verde. Disappointing from Morocco. The quality of players they had on the field, they should not have lost this, yet they did. 13 shots to 5, 2 to .29 XG, like I said earlier. They had more big chances, but South Africa didn't miss their big chances in this game. I mean, they're the more disciplined team. They had more. They just created more, and it's very frustrating to see a team like Morocco, who were better on the field, go out there and lose. They basically got FM'd, if you know what that is. So this part of the bracket, we have Nigeria, Angola, and Cape Verde and South Africa. To the bottom left, and this was our matches from. We had matches from, I believe, today and yesterday, and we did. We will start us off with Mali today. Beat Burkina Faso 2-1. We had a goal from Edmond Tapsoba, which was an own goal actually from Tapsoba, which really set the tone. Then the second half came around and we have Lassine Sinioka score from Mali to put them 2 in front. Then Bertrand Traore cut the lead in half, but it wasn't enough. Mali, who were out XG'd by Burkina Faso, a very balanced tie here, went to the way of Mali. They had more shots, more chances in this game. Mali just got kind of lucky with the own goal, which set the tone for the match. And then Mali just went out and won. Fair play to Mali. They advanced again to the AFCON quarterfinals, and they will be playing Ivory Coast. My champions have been dethroned by Ivory Coast. So the 2 teams I had in the final are both out. I think I had Morocco in the final. I don't know. But Ivory Coast, listen, they barely snuck into the knockouts to begin with. And they went out and won on penalties. We'll explain how this is. Habibou Diallo scored. Habibou Muhabadu Diallo scored. Assisted by Sadio Mane. Ivory Coast are throwing men up the field later on. Frank Kessie gets then Ivory Coast, got a penalty. Frank Kessie scored. We're level through regular time. We go to penalties. Then we had Koulibaly, then Pepe, Sarr, and Kwame all score. Musa Nikate? I think I nailed that. I don't think so. Missed it. Sebastian Haller scored. Dieng, and then Arer. Sadio Mane leveled it at 4 before Frank Kessie has done it again. Frank Kessie, who is playing for, I'm trying to remember, because this is a name I've actually known for a long time. Frank Kessie, who I can't even find, who was subbed on into this match, who plays for Al Ali. I think it's Al Ali. I don't know. Those Saudi Arabian teams are actually very hard to pronounce. He had 0.8 XG by himself. He led the Ivory Coast off the bench to a shocking win against a lot of the people's favorites to win the tournament in Senegal. Ivory Coast played a much better second half. They looked good, and I think they looked pretty decent in the extra time period. They converted their penalties, and they're moving on. They're playing Mali, a great tie, one that will be going back and forth 100%. I like Mali in the game, but Ivory Coast's home field advantage I think is really going to help them. They're really avenging that 4-0 loss to Equatorial Guinea. And speaking of Equatorial Guinea, they choked it. Some predicted this. I didn't think this was inevitable, but it was. Equatorial Guinea went out and sold. Unfortunately, they got a red card for Federico Bicoro, and then Emilia Nsue missed a penalty for Equatorial Guinea. And then a extremely late goal again. 98th minute from Mohamed Bayo sends Guinea in the Guinean Derby, which is what I'm calling this. I actually don't know what it's called. And if I did know, I probably would not be able to pronounce it. In the Battle of the Guineas, Guinea beats Equatorial Guinea 1-0, despite Equatorial Guinea having double the XG and having double of it. Well, you would think double every stat, but they only had 5 shots, and that's what happens. You go a man down, you're just defending for your life, and then Guinea had the better chances towards the end, and then they got the goal. Fair play to Guinea. Equatorial Guinea, disappointing. But another disappointment, Egypt. What do we have here? Oh, wait a minute. It's the DR Congo. Hello? What? The DR Congo? We know that they go out and lose to teams in regular matches like Tanzania. They struggled in the group. They haven't won a match the whole time. I'm not kidding. They drew all 3 matches and made it here. They went out and drew Zambia, Morocco, and then they drew Tanzania again. Which feels inevitable that they just drop points to Tanzania. They played Egypt and drew. Technically. We start us off with how did this go? How did this absolute mess go? Start us off with Mustafa Mohamed. No, we didn't have that yet. Meschak Elia scored for the DR Congo. Then Mustafa Mohamed got a penalty. Nothing else happened on the score sheet. Then Muhammad Hamdi got a red card in the 97th minute for Egypt. And then we go all the way to penalties. Mustafa Mohamed, who scored the earlier penalty, missed it. And then Arthur Masuako missed his. But at the end of this long penalty shootout, we go all the way down. I think we got to the goalkeepers, honestly. I'm trying to find it. We got all the way to the penalties. And then Mohammed. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, he is a goalkeeper. What the hell am I saying? Mohamed Abu Gabal missed his penalty. And then the DR Congo goalkeeper slots it home. The man who plays for Rodez, Lionel Mpasu Nezwau, for the DR Congo, wins it 8-7 on penalties to advance to the quarterfinals, where they're going to probably get... I don't even know what's going to happen in this game. This is the worst quarterfinal. And the reason I say that is because nothing's going to happen. Like, if you want entertaining matches, you go to Cape Verde, South Africa. You see Ivory Coast and Mali. Congo and Guinea's nothing's going to really happen. So that's just the one thing to watch out for. But those are our 4 quarterfinals. They begin on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be very fun to watch out for. Quickly, let's go to the FA Cup, which this is going to be... The FA Cup draw was glorious. It was actually a lot of fun to watch because, one, City did not get an easy draw. I don't think they did, and I'll tell you why they didn't in a minute. Because a certain team went out and won today 4-0. making a statement to the rest of the Prem. Let's begin. So the FA Cup was on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday, we knew about what happened with Bournemouth and Swansea. And I told you about Sheffield drawing, Chelsea drawing Villa, and Bristol City drawing Nottingham Forest for no reason at all. Of course, we said City beat Tottenham, but no one cares. Saturday, we begin with Maidstone, who just are unkillable in this thing. They beat Ipswich Town 2-1. Phenomenal result for Maidstone. 6th-tier side, they move on to the next round. Then we had Brighton beat Sheffield. What other matches do I like? The battle of possible in the two teams that are already in the relegation battle. Luton Town beats Everton at Goodison Park 2-1. A match that I was able to watch courtesy of an extremely late goal from Collie Woodrow. Got Luton Town the win. They looked great in this game. Despite Everton having 2 shots on target, they were able to score courtesy of Jack Harrison. And yeah, Luton Town move on. Fair play to Luton. Then we had I'll just tell you who they're playing straight up. They play Man City at Kenilworth Road. More on that game in a minute. Other results that were shocking. Wolves beat West Brom in a derby that you probably never heard of. That game was insanity. Watford drew Southampton. Newcastle beat Fulham, Leicester beat Birmingham. Leeds drew Plymouth, which Plymouth are shockingly decent. Watford drew Southampton. I said that already. Which led us to Liverpool beating Norwich 5-2. More on Liverpool in a second. Then we had Manchester United beat Newport County, but more importantly, Anthony scored a goal and thought he was actually good at football. He's not. Enough with this. Manchester United should have won this game like 7-0. The fact that they conceded 2 goals in this game is really concerning. And then we had Blackburn kill the hopes of the Ryan Reynolds crew and Rob McElhenney's squad. They beat Wrexham 4-1, which sets up our ties of Bournemouth, Leicester, Blackburn Rovers against Newcastle. Manchester United is playing, I think, Nottingham or Bristol. I could be wrong. Maidstone is playing, I don't even know. Let me pull up the ties. Let me just make sure I get this right, because I already know one of them was wrong. You automatically pull this up. You already know that we're seeing something special at Maidstone. But let's look at our ties. We have Blackburn, Newcastle, Chelsea and Villa will play Leeds or Plymouth, Bournemouth, Leicester, Liverpool play Watford or Southampton. Fair play to that draw. I was right. Bristol City or Nottingham is hosting United. Wolverhampton Wanderers are playing Brighton. Maidstone is hosting Sheffield, going on the road to Sheffield or Coventry. They're probably hoping for Sheffield, but I actually don't know who they would rather. Luton hosts City in the round of 16 of the FA Cup. What am I watching out for with this draw? I think United are on an upset watch already, especially if it's Bristol. Nottingham Forest are also not a team that you think you can immediately ignore. Nottingham Forest already beat Manchester United this season. And Nottingham has some good players. Morgan Gibbs-White, Taiwo Awoniyi. They have some good players. Shocking that they drew to Bristol, actually. It's pretty shocking. But if there's an underrated tie, another team to possibly watch out for a team to be on upset watch, Blackburn Rovers Newcastle, I think, can be an upset. At Blackburn, I think that's a possibility for an upset as well. And Maidstone, I think they could possibly win. Luton plays City. I'm very excited to see how that one goes. Luton City, I think that one could be a possible upset watch for City. But speaking of Liverpool, something happened to them, right, Robbie, over the weekend? Or very recently, something happened with upper management, and you were absolutely correct. The news is simple. I'll put it like this. Jurgen Klopp is out at the end of the season from Liverpool. We found this out over the weekend. Jurgen Klopp is gone at the end of the year for Liverpool. What does this mean for Liverpool? There's already rumors of Salah and Virgil van Dijk possibly leaving, which I don't think are true yet. What we do know is that Liverpool are heading in a different direction. I don't know who their manager is going to be. What Liverpool fans need to expect or need to do now is not get carried away with these possibilities of hiring a guy like a Xabi Alonso, who I don't think will transition to the Prem very well. Hiring some of these big name guys off the jump. Because one, we don't know who's you can rumor someone to be interested in this job off immediately. And to be fair, I think everyone will be intrigued by the Liverpool job. But the expectation you must have to be in the consideration for this managerial post is so high that I don't think Xabi Alonso is the right person for this. Now, I don't know who would be the fitting manager for this. I know I'm not, because I'm not a manager. But it's a tall task to lift Liverpool from where they are. You have to deal with Arsenal. You'll have to deal with City. United could possibly be in the mix next year. Who knows? They're rumored to possibly be getting Crystal Palace players, which doesn't work. If they've learned anything, it doesn't work. To continue this point, though, the expectation that you have to have as a Liverpool manager is so high, I don't know what's going to happen. You know about the stress levels from Klopp. We talked about it already. It's crazy. Just to reiterate it, it's nuts. What's going on is absolutely nuts. Jurgen Klopp is gone at the end of the year. We also almost had rumors of Mikel Arteta possibly leaving Arsenal, which were fake news. Just to confirm, it's fake news. You saw it on my Instagram story. It was fake news. There's a report out of a Barcelona biased media spot, which we couldn't really figure out because I'd never heard of it before, that said Arteta out, possibly rumored to be linked to the Barcelona job after Xavi Hernandez said that he was gone at the end of the year from the Spanish Supergiants. I don't think that job is intriguing at all because they're like restricted by financial irregularities. But Arteta is not leaving Arsenal. He confirmed it this week. But one more thing about Jurgen Klopp. What do we think can happen for him next? I think, and a lot of people are going to suspect this, that he'll be rumored for the Germany job after the Euros, which already makes me think Germany is going to be bad at their home Euros. It's already giving off the vibe of that Klopp could possibly coach Germany, maybe win them the World Cup and retire fully after then, win the North American World Cup, and then retire afterwards. I think that'd be a very fitting way for him to go out. Win Germany the World Cup. He would win the Champions League, possibly win the Europa League this year. He's won Premier League titles. I think he's won an EFL Cup. He would win all this stuff. To conclude it with a Euros or a World Cup would be so fitting for how good of a manager he is. He was the people's manager, coming from Borussia Dortmund, going over to Liverpool, able to translate so well. It actually now makes sense for Xabi Alonso to become their manager because he's coming from Bayer Leverkusen, who is in Germany. Try to possibly recreate what Jurgen Klopp did, which I don't think is going to work. But Jurgen Klopp, one of a kind. Even though I hated going against him, and I still do, he's such a good manager. He's going to be one of the greatest the Premier League will ever see. But Liverpool, they play tomorrow against Chelsea. They beat Norwich. Congratulations. They're going to the next round of the Cup. So the final soccer topic of the day, Premier League. For the week. Not the weekend, the week. Because there's games this weekend we'll preview on Friday. We'll start off with our games from today. And they're all now finalized. We had Arsenal just frustrate everybody. And they did eventually go on to beat Nottingham Forest 2-1. Gabriel Jesus scored an early goal. It was the 65th minute. He scored the opener on a goal that should have been saved by Matt Turner. Saka scored immediately afterwards. And then Taiwo Awoniyi, the aforementioned Taiwo Awoniyi, scored for Nottingham Forest and had a big chance at the end that he did miss. Those shot right at David Raya. Arsenal go out and win 2-1 and are now in second despite being in net third due to City probably winning both their matches at hand. Arsenal are trying to keep pace, and the one way they do that is beat Liverpool this week, which at the end of the week, which I am talking about on Friday. It's a big match. Totally talk about that for sure on a Friday. Good win, though, for Arsenal. Everton played Fulham in the most boring game ever. I say that with the XG being high. I alerted you with that XG with saying, yeah, boring game. Two of the most boring teams in the league. 46 combined shots, an average of almost 2 XG per team. Chances missed galore, and only 10 total shots on target. I don't know how I could say that with a straight face. Only under 25% of the shots being on target is wild. Both of these teams are mid. Everton, though, concerningly, are in the relegation spots, which just makes it more mind-boggling of what is going on. And the reason I say it's mind-boggling, Luton Town, making the biggest statement of the season for themselves, other than beating Newcastle. They go home at Kenilworth Road and beat Brighton 4-0. Led by 2.89 XG. And Elijah Adebayo, who had a great game today. He had a hat trick, scoring the first 42nd and 56th minutes to lead the way to grab all 3 points for Luton Town. The other goal was scored by Ogbene for Luton. They absolutely killed it today, and that got them out of the relegation spots. They're now 1 point clear from the drop, which is insane to even think that Luton Town would be in this race to begin with. The way they started the season, and the way they were able to play some of the bigger teams at Kenilworth Road this year, makes this more crazy. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, they went and played City, lost by 1 at home, drew Liverpool at Kenilworth Road, blew the lead to Arsenal, a game they should have won. They barely lost to Manchester United. They lost 1-0. They beat Newcastle. And now you go out and beat a solid upper mid-table team in Brighton. The Seagulls losing 4-0. The Seagulls dropped to 8th, which is a phenomenal win for Luton. Fair play to Luton. They are now in 17th. Palace beat Sheffield United, courtesy of a big-time game from Michael Olise. Olise, goal and 2 assists. 2 goals from Eberechi Eze, who they're really carrying the entire squad now. They win 3-2 over Sheffield United. Palace avenged their loss to Arsenal from, I think it was a week ago now, which it makes it even more. It's from their last game against Arsenal. Palace now are in 14th, which, to be fair though, the drop and 14th is separated by 6 points. Anything is possible. I'm serious, guys. Palace down to Everton, no one is safe. Heck, 12th and 18th is only separated by 7 points. The bottom of the league just got way more interesting. With Luton now going out there and grabbing some wins. And with 1 match less played than Everton. Luton, you can argue, could be net 4 points out of the drop. Which is insane. But big time win for Palace. Devastating loss for Sheffield. They are now 8 points from from 18th place, which they're probably going down. Hate to see it from Sheffield. Only 10 points in 22 matches. They are not very good. Unfortunately for Sheffield United, they had 2 go from Diaz and Mikati to take they had the lead twice, blew it twice. Palace went on to win. We had Newcastle all over Aston Villa. They took a 3-0 lead. Aston Villa got one late from Ollie Watkins. Fabian Schär scores a brace. Moreno own goal. Alex Moreno own goal gives Newcastle a 3-0 lead. Ollie Watkins scores late on. That's the result. Newcastle, who out-XG'd Aston Villa off the field, they had 2.54 to 1.44. Newcastle goes out and grabs a big-time win, and they now go up to 7th. Villa are now in 4th, tied with City on points, but due to goal difference are behind, and they are falling away from the title race, which they're falling out of the title race, but really into the laps of Tottenham, because Tottenham are only 3 points behind with 1 game at hand. Villa could possibly be in trouble, and you weren't thinking I would be saying that. What's nice is they play Sheffield this weekend, which at this point Sheffield should win this game. I really have a feeling Sheffield could win, but besides the fact, what other games we got during the midweek? We have Liverpool and Chelsea, which I think is going to be a barn burner. We saw this game at the start of the year. It was a 1-1 draw. I think Liverpool win this game 2-1. I think it's going to go back and forth. Liverpool win this game. Tottenham-Brentford, I think, is going to be another interesting one. Brentford, who are trying to stay out of the relegation race entirely, I think will struggle against Tottenham. I think Tottenham win this game 1-0. Brentford's scoring woes continue as they will stay in the bottom half of the league, or the race to try and stay out of relegation. Manchester City play Burnley, a match against Vincent Kompany's old team. Again, we saw this game on match day 1. City, red hot. They lead the league in goals. Burnley's defense is not very good. I have City winning this game 3-0 over Burnley. Thursday, we have Wolves and United. I have this as a win for Wolves. They are so good at the Molyneux this year. The problem is they don't have Hee Chan Huang, which I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. United, who are so bad at home, who are just not good. Actually, no, I'm flipping this result. I'm saying it's a draw. United are just not that good right now, and they're going to be so hyped up after the barely beating Newport County, a League 2 team. I think this is going to be a draw. Hee Chan Huang being in this game would make it a win, but I don't think they can grab out the win due to the lack of attackers they have on the field right now. Then we have West Ham Bournemouth. I also think this is a draw. Dominic Solanke, I think, is going to be a very big impact in this game for Bournemouth. He's going to be the one that's really going to be the guy who sets the tone for either of these teams. If you look at the injuries, I'm looking at Lucas Paqueta. I hate him being out. Same with Mikel Antonio. I think Bournemouth are going to be able to go out there and grab goals. But I think West Ham are just going to find a way at home at the London Stadium. I think this is going to go out and be a draw. And those are your games for this week, for the matches during the week for the Premier League this week, all to play for in some of those matches. To conclude our show this week, or the show today at that, we will go over the Australian Open finals. The final time we'll be talking about Australian Opens this year on this channel. And we will start us off with Sabalenka winning the women's final in straight sets over Zhang. Zhang, who hasn't played a player, I think ranked 60th before this final, went out and got absolutely destroyed by Sabalenka. Well, absolutely destroyed is kind of harsh. Look at the numbers. Sabalenka didn't double fold at all. Zhang was a big time in the serving game. Had double the aces of Sabalenka, but the lack of first serve percentage is so much more down for Zhang. That's the big time difference with Sabalenka. She was so good, got some good break points. Sabalenka wins 6-3, 6-2 to win back-to-back Australian Open finals. And the vibes that were after that, dude, Sabalenka's team on Instagram is ridiculous. They were having the time of their lives partying, or just vibing after the win. Sabalenka's a great character. I really like Sabalenka. And then we have the men's final, which has more points to talk about. Daniil Medvedev, who blows a 2-set lead after doing the reverse in the semifinals, falls to Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner wins his first ever major tournament. Incredible. Jannik Sinner, it was destiny for Jannik Sinner. Going out and beating the number 1 player in the world. Going out and beating number 5, 15, 26. He beat so many good ranked players, including Baez, Kachanov, Rublev, Novak, and now going on beating Daniil Medvedev. He should be top 2 in the world, I think, going after this tournament. He plays like a top 2 ranked player in the world. I'm dead serious. But what happened in this match? Medvedev ran out of gas. And he made more mistakes, and Jannik Sinner rose to the occasion at a time he kind of needed it. Because if Jannik Sinner lost in a final again, we would be questioning Jannik Sinner more and more and more after the tournament ended. Questions get put to bed for now, as Jannik Sinner goes out and wins this match. The stats prove it. He was so much better. He was not good on the second serve, but he didn't really get to the second serve late on in the match. This match was into the early portions of the morning, which I did not get to watch it, but I was able to watch the mostly back on the highlights. Jannik Sinner rose to the occasion, had better stamina in the end, and wins the Australian Open. A tournament that had so much drama from both sides, seeing top seeds lose. I mean, you saw Swiatek lose early on. Novak losing the semifinals the way he did to Jannik Sinner. You had comebacks from the ages from players like Medvedev against Zverev. You had so much good stuff here. But at the end of the day, Jannik Sinner, who avenged his loss at the ATP Tour Finals to Novak in the semifinals, goes on and repeats what happened at the ATP Tour Finals by beating Medvedev. I love it. And on that note, that will be the end of today's show of the Robbie Basel Show. Episode 70 complete. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out Into the Stands tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, only on the WIUR Iona Gales Radio Network YouTube channel. Make sure to check out the link in the description of the video. For now, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys Friday. Goodbye, everyone.